and I decided I'm going to leave this run live right now because I. This is something I've wanted to do for a really long time. Like, I wanted to be able to go live from anywhere. And in the past, you have not been able to do that on YouTube. And though YouTube has become something of a standard, it's not really a standard. It's corporatized now in a way. But also not. It retains that kind of weird googly separation that comes with Google having bought them back in '06, was it? This is a bad copy, I think. Yeah, that's a bad copy. Go over. That bad copy. These are copies that have. That's definitely a bad copy. This one's not a bad copy, I don't think. Might be the only one with the Ferlinghetti on the outside that works. No, torn. Okay, well, this chair is really uncomfortable, and this studio situation is not optimal. But we are in the process of editioning the Writist. 1, 2, 3, there's 5 here. I gave away like 5 today, I think. So this is the second edition of the Writist. And there will be, let's see, 100 of them. And I'm just going to leave that run while I'm doing this, because I want to see if I can just be live. Seems like I should be able to. I got some love 'cause it just ain't big. Oh, I wish I had someone to talk to. I'm in an awful way. Got in town a month ago. Didn't know a way around. If I could meet 'em, I could get 'em. But as yet I haven't met 'em. I'm gonna have to blow this town. Oh, another Saturday night, and I ain't got nobody. I got some money 'cause I just got paid. And how I wish I had someone to talk to. I'm in an awful way. It's hard on a fella when he don't know his way around. So this is the Writist. This is the second edition of the Writist. The first edition was an edition of 9, and this one is going to be an edition of 100. And in a way, it's a zine. In a way, it's a publication. In a way, it's a business card. In a way, it's a book. And in a way, it's a affirmation that I have written and published a word that no one else has written and published yet, and I have called myself it. The Writist. Now, I'm not saying I'm the first. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't other Writists. There may be billions of Writists, but I claim in this case to be the first because no one has ever written the actual word Writist. Writist. It's semantics, I suppose, but back in '97, when I could see the direction all this stuff was going, in a journal I wrote, well, I'm not going to end up being a writer. I'll end up being an artist or a writer mixed to da. And then the word Writist came out of my mouth back in 1997. And so I was like, oh, that's good. I wrote that down in my journal, you know. But I never did anything with it. Never thought about it again. Well, I thought about it many times, but I never made an attempt to communicate it to anyone. So that would have been 27 years ago. And now, 27 years later, I'm publishing a book, and the title of that book, or I'm publishing a zine, if you will. And the title of the zine is The Writist, Writist, The Writist. Can you see that somewhere, somehow? Seems like you should be able to. There's a fucking copyright. And I find it insouciant and funny to declare myself to be the first Writist. And it's fun to make books again, you know. I'm out at the beach, and so there's very little light pollution. And it wasn't really easy to make out the tail. But I do the Neowise comet was so named because it was spotted by the Neowise comet was so named because it was spotted by the near Earth orbit wide star field, whatever it's called, Neowise, Neowise. That thing which looks for things that might be, it wasn't dangerous to us, but we were able to tell everybody on the planet because of the internet, hey, look, you can go out and see this thing. And then I just went out and saw it like 4 times. I saw it from the top of Mount Bunnell, which was really cool in Austin, Texas. I remember. And I like that. I like that there's a kind of shared idea about space things that we really enjoyed. And now the Chinese are changing that, and it's irritating. And then, of course, everybody reacts. So, like, material has got to be shared as a human accomplishment of both global changes, such as and carbonification of the ocean, which I called carbonification once in a song a long time ago. Of the ocean, you know, the possibility of methane suddenly escaping from Antarctica and killing us all. These things are real, and they threaten humanity as a whole. Not one. The methane wouldn't stop at the border of one nation or another. It's burning as gas, isn't it? We'd all be exposed to methane, as they say, methane, and that wouldn't be any good for anyone. So, science should be shared data. That's my feeling. Especially the space is. How long did that take? I have no idea, but later I'll look on the clock. You know if you're a viewer. But that is one edition of the Writist. I mean, one copy of the second edition of the Writist. Okay? Which we are making on the live feed tonight. Because it is Saturday night. And I don't go out. I don't have any friends. I don't have anything special in my life. So, I declare myself the Writist publication. Reminded, of course, of my heroes and writers of the past. Who were solo artists, baby. That's the deal. All right. Because I don't have a lot of to be in charge. Yeah. But you could see the comet through them today. But you could see the comet through them today. That was cool. That was cool. Now, years, okay? Years, okay? I'm not talking about social media. Remember, this is not a social media site, right? Because I'm not on X, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on any of that. Just as this non-monetized YouTube channel, which recently achieved 500 viewers. And so I could monetize, but we're not going to monetize, so that's not the point. Of the whole thing that we're doing here, which is sharing. I really like this thing. Second edition is looking pretty sharp, if I'm honest. I'm pleased. So this publication, which is based on a word that I wrote in a journal 27 years ago, is coming out here in what Christians call 2024, and what Buddhists would call 2567, or 2568, depending on where you are with that. Some Buddhists think that after September, the moons in September, whenever they associate with the Buddha's birth, that's when you should change to the new year. So for them, it's already 2568. Other Buddhists, like the nation of Thailand as a whole, they turn the calendar with everybody else. So when we all go January 1st, 2025, they'll go January 1st, 2568, right? So I have been, since I got back from Angkor Wat, I've been really trying to get myself more onto the Buddhist clock or calendar as a means of separating my mind in a way from some of the burdensome elements of the Western calendar, of which there are many, by the way, for a person like myself, or really any thinking person, in my opinion. You should perceive of calendars as, they are tools of large organizations. The Vatican comes to mind as one of those. To, if not control people, then at least, organize them. So if you're electing to participate in that organization, whether it's Easter Sunday or Xmas Day or whatever you want to call it, I think you have to be realistic about how much of that is your own doing and how much of that is a clannish mentality. Me, I don't celebrate any holidays. Well, I would if someone invited me to celebrate, I would. But, I don't go out of my way to do that. I'm often in studio on the time that everybody calls. I call it Thanks-taking. Thanks-taking is coming up. Halloween is coming up, but then Thanks-taking is coming up after that. And I prefer to be on the island with the native peoples for that day. This year I may do that, or I may be in India. I'm supposed to go to India, and I really don't want to go. It feels like if I go, then my mom will die. But if I don't go, maybe she won't die. So why would I go, right? Why not just not go? That's what I'm thinking. Because then she won't die. It's like Schrodinger's cat, isn't it? It's quite a nice little book. The Writist. 2024. 2567. So these have to be finished this year. There's no choice because they're all dated. And I've got, this edition's 100. Once this one's done, we can talk about making another one. That'd be kind of cool. I wouldn't mind making another one. Could go bigger. Make 10,000. Well, no, because then you become like a machine-made object, don't you? And this is a little less than machine-made. It's got some machine making, sure, plenty, in fact. And it's got some bits that are not machine made. Now you could probably train an AI to do this. It might even be more uniform if you did. But at the moment, The Writist is a book made by a human. It's a zine made by a human. It's a text with a word that has only ever been published once, that is copyright me, that can only be made by a human. Now, it doesn't have to be me. You guys can make it if you want. But it is in the first person, so it would seem strange probably if you made it and handed it to someone and they were like, really? And then you'd be like, well, no, because the centerfold is my National Writers Union card with my name on it. So that wouldn't really work. Yeah, you could try it. Actually, I encourage you to try it. Try walking around with my name for a while. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so as I was saying, the in the past I have used Ustream. That's with the letter U, stream. I have used in the old days there was JTV, and then the guy killed himself live in Florida. But that was started by this guy Justin JTV, which ended up becoming Twitch, which is now, of course, quite famously used for gaming. So you can be live streaming and gaming. But in those days, it was more like, it wasn't quite like that. You have Vaughn Live. I have used Vaughn Live. In fact, in the Vaughn Live community, I'm known as Deep Voice. Deep Voice. I have used, let me see, some of the others. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because YouTube never allowed me to do this, what we're doing right here. This is new to me, the ability to be able to just stream live anywhere on the planet using my YouTube account with my name on it associated to my entire art career, or whatever you want to say, is a fascinating new development. So, trying it out today is in part an exercise in precedence. If it works out beautifully, maybe I will produce more art from studio when I get back to studio. Of course, my internet is way better than this internet here, so I don't even know if this is working very well, but the possibility of maybe live casting or live streaming my art production, some of my art production, anyway, particularly when it's something like this that's in the final stages, could be a fun way to use YouTube. And one of the things I was thinking about is I wanted to do a live something all the time from now until election day, and I don't want to do election content, right? Because I'm not interested in it. But I do want to provide a stable voice, a reassuring voice, that we're not all going crazy and we haven't lost our minds and society is not going to fall apart, civil war is not going to break out, and so on. Or if it does, then I'll be casually reporting on it, if not trying to be helpful to those who need help, or etc., whether I'm here or in India or wherever I am. To be able to, let's see, how do you want to put that? I don't know, be of assistance during the election time, because we all know election night is not going to end on election night. It's going to run through certification because of what he did last time. That he's a traitor. He and all of you people who did that, you are traitors. That is a traitorous act. You didn't win. Everything you're saying is a lie. It has been proven. Everybody has done the numbers. There's these things you're saying are total lies. The donkey movie you made or whatever. So we know it's not going to end chill. We know that. Right? It should end chill, but if it doesn't end chill, there's only one reason why, and that's because of that asshat. Number 45. Impeached, traitorous, criminal. The impeached, traitorous, convicted criminal will be why we don't have peace. And what we should have is peace. In fact, it seems to be the only reason we don't have peace is because of the traitorous former office holder. But, hey, you know what? If you guys vote for him, like every president, I will abide by the rules or whatever the fucking situation is. Now, I fear that, and it might not be for me after that. But okay, you guys win if that's the case. You drove me out. That's what you wanted anyway, I think. Because distaste for me is clear. Loud and clear is the distaste for me amongst Americans. And, you know, I like who I am, so I'm not gonna flip that over. I mean, there is some argument that I haven't produced enough yet, but, you know, I'm working on it. I really really like this little publication, which, you know, I don't know how this emerged. This emerged because I was thinking about it in studio. I was like, I want to do something when I'm on the road. And this is an old format that I came up with that I really like. The 16-page. You know, it's easy to produce. Well, not easy. It's a little complicated to produce, but it's not. You know, it's kind of beautiful to produce. And then it was a matter of the content, which, you know, in the case of the last one, when I first did this, not the last one, but the first one, I guess you could say. This is that one. This one's in Spanish. This is from 2010, same principle. So we could punch out a bunch of them. And the cover is the mural of Oscar Grant, and the content is about trying to get the guns out of the hands of BART cops and change some of the rules about conflict between the police and people on BART. So when we made that, you know, my name was not anywhere on it. But I had to have a publisher because otherwise it's not put FFPTP. C Circle 2010 FFPTP, because my press was 50-foot Pine Tree Press at that time. And there's a few books I've published as 50-foot Pine Tree Press. Now my press is a Woolligum Press. Woolligum is the Tamil word for universe or universal, you know. And I've published under Woolligum several books, mostly in India. And I had to run a 10,000 in India, actually. It was pretty cool. Separate folio method, though, not like this. I made a run of 10,000 of a book, a Woolligum Press book in India. And so I thought to myself, well, this is one thing I can definitely do. I can produce a small book. I can go back into my journals for the content, find something cool from my journals, and I was like, oh yeah, the Writist. Because one of the things is, Americans are constantly trying to make you say what you are. What do you do? What do you do? What are you? And I've never wanted to answer that. My thing is, I do whatever I want. I do what I'm doing. I do this now. I'm doing something else tomorrow. I'll be doing something else the next day. And this what do you do as what you are thing is not really in my preferential way of thinking about stuff. So to avoid that, I've just not answered the question, or I've come up with goofy answers over the years. But then I thought to myself, but what about on your passport application or on your visa applications for the past 45 years, right? If I had a visa application for any country or my passport apps, and they ask occupation, I always have only written one thing, which is writer, W-R-I-T-E-R. Now, as writer disappears, which isn't real, but you know what I mean, and art becomes more forward, the term writist becomes the replacement. So I'm even sort of debunking the every passport application I've ever filled out, because I'm no longer a writer now, I'm a writist. The writist at the moment. This is the, if you're someone new here, this character, by the way, or this glyph, if you want to call it that, is from the Mayan culture. Maya. Ancient Mayan culture. It is a glyph which represents, I am told, the color black and the directional west, like northeast, southwest. And is pronounced ik. At least that's what I understood to be true from the person who taught me that. So it is an ancient glyph, which is, of course, an act of a writist, because you're writing, but it's also art. So the idea of being the first writist is moronic. Or, shall we say, laughable. I mean, conceptually, whatever a writist is, there's been many, but no one's ever called themselves it, so that's what I'm basically trying on. Okay, we're up to 7, and I gave away what, 5? I gave 1 to Odie, I gave 2 to the bookstore, 2 to the coffee shop. Yeah, so we've got 12 down, 88 to go. The second edition of the Writist by mtk-on-the-mic is also a way to convey my .org and my YouTube chan, because they're small, and I've begun blogging again on the blog, and I've been posting to the YouTube channel. It's really the only place you can find me on the internet nowadays. It's those 2 places, or my baseball blog or whatever. So it's kind of nice also to have a pointer to those. I've never made anything pointing to them, right? Never made anything to point out I haven't promoted my sites or anything. And they have like the same formats from the day they were started back in 2010 or whatever year they began. So, like, they have the same templates from, graphical user interfaces of those times. So one of the points of this book is that I didn't realize till I got to Brooklyn, because I'd studied him in school, and of course I'd learned. I had a cool old school copy of Leaves of Grass that I would carry around with me when I was a kid, and I would read. And there was one I liked, the one about the willow in Louisiana. I really liked that one. Anyway, Leaves of Grass, which I had studied and understood as like whatever it was. When I got to New York, I didn't realize till I got to New York how much self-promotion he did to make that become what it ultimately was. In the dawning days of such self-promotion. I mean, there was no photography before that. Photographers suddenly existed. So he quickly went out and got them all to take portraits of him. And then he called himself the Bard of Democracy. So there's all these portraits from the early days of portraiture with one dude in them who's called the Bard of Democracy. Well, pretty quick you become the Bard of Democracy doing it. So I learned all this stuff about his self-promotion. I was like, that's pretty funny. And that's another theme of this book, The Writist, because my dad, and many Asian people, I think, they don't think that way. And in point of fact, Byung-Chul Han writes about this in his book on the difference between Eastern and Western art. I forget the title at the moment, but he talks about this. The sort of deification of the object as opposed to the kind of like universal sharing of the object. He even talks about how there's paintings in Asian collections that are all about how over the years people have added to the painting their own stuff on top of the painting, which is kind of hilarious, but also so opposite of what the Western culture is about. And I do enjoy Byung-Chul Han, by the way. I don't know if you guys have all read him, or if any of you have. He's another internet find, if I'm honest. But from a philosophy standpoint, quite fascinating. Someone else noted that they're like, I was like, wow, it's like every 20 years or 10 years there's a thinker who's like this. Neil Postman back then, or it could be McLuhan before that, or it could be this guy now. And he's very astute about observing what we're actually going through, what we're changing about ourselves with this tech. And that's pretty cool. he's really seen it clearly, I feel. More so than others that I've been reading. But that bit about the Asians and the Chinese just drawing on paintings was a pretty awesome thing to read. I didn't really think about that way until I saw this book. Now, I think I knew that about the paintings because I had read, what is that fellow's name? Fiorello, or I forgot his bloody name. The Writist. Is the title of this book, or zine. I don't know how many words it is. But it's a nice little publication. This is the second edition. And you are watching me produce it. Here on MTK the Journeyman. I'm on a Saturday night and I ain't got no money. I got some money 'cause I just got paid. How I wish I had some chick to talk to. I'm losing all of the world. It's hard on a fella. He don't know his way around. So yeah, so self-promotion wise, like Walt Whitman, I put my .org and my YouTube channel in this one. So I'm self-promoting, guys, for the first time. Like that little self-promotion. Got me time on the floor. Didn't know my way around. Wait, how's the one that goes, like a cat named Frankenstein? What's the lyric that ends with cat named Frankenstein? Is anybody know? Shooby dooby dooby. Waka waka. Hand on sloom. Ooh, very pretty. Yeah, look at that. The Writist by MTK the Journeyman. Cannot be made by an automated device. It cannot be made by an AI. It has to be made by the Writist. Dun dun dun. Shooty blue. Shooty blue. It's hard on a fella. You know his way around. Man, that's a really poor one, but whatever. I'm not Mayan. What do I know about how to draw Mayan letters? Some are better than others, but you know, I bet if you saw some Mayan stones, they'd be chipped. Some of them would be chipped away. There wouldn't be any way to fix that. They're thousands of years old after all. So there's probably some degree of variation in the way the Mayan characters appear out there in the field. That's my guess. If you want to read or hear, rather, the words that are in this, The Writist, you can check the site. I put up a video a couple of days ago where I read it aloud. Not the site, but the YouTube channel. There's a video where this is all read aloud. just to give you an idea of how production works on a AP, I can make one. Right now we're gonna make 100. So we're making 100. And we have 5 already out in the field. I need a container for this, is what I need. This is not working, what's happening right now? Maybe this. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Do I have any left? Aha, one left. It's got some scrap on it. Do I care? That's the Golden Gate Bridge. It'll be on the inside of this. No, it'll be on the outside. Should I leave it? Make one with a little bit of a Golden Gate Bridge on it? Or not? Here's a scroll to Golden Gate Bridge. No, we're gonna have to make more covers. So that's what's next. This guy's not really acceptable. Got in town a month ago. Didn't know the way around. See what I mean? Little Golden Gate Bridgey action. That was on this scrap of paper. There's also some concern that these are ink-wise problematic. Well, let's make some covers and not print. I gotta stand up for this. All I felt, you know, was waiting around. I think one of the things that's interesting about this is it's not that beautiful of a book. So the art part of it is not as strong as the writing. So it really does emphasize the writist part of it, the writer part of the writist, which I think is great. This method lends itself to what is basically the theme of the text, which is nice. So I can get 2 covers out of a sheet by making a simple template. Right. Might be time for a marijuana break, my friends. These scissors are poor too. These are actually the scissors I used to shave and cut my ear hair and stuff. Because I didn't bring. Studio scissors. Oh, I should have cut them all at the same time. That was stupid. We'll have that. Gotten down a nothing road. Didn't know I was way around. So my template is slightly off. That's what's going on here. I think I know why. Because I used the second generation template. So that's not how to do that. Alright, break time. There's the Writist. Ethan Andrews, Ethan Williams. How are you guys? No, there's no viewers now. That's okay. Marihuana para fumar is my nickname anyway. Well, looks like I've been on for 52 minutes and 32 seconds, which is pretty cool. Once again, I didn't know that this day would ever come, but I hoped for it. In the old days, YouTube wouldn't just let you do this, which is kind of annoying, you know. I mean, why shouldn't you be able to do this? Just broadcast. And leave it running while you do stuff. Why not? I see no reason not to do that. Now here, too, I'm in a place with probably not great Wi-Fi. So when I get back to studio and I use Wi-Fi, we can pick projects to film, cast, if we want. And perhaps I will do that. I mean, I like the idea of doing it. Here we are doing it for the first time. Live road studio production of the second edition of The Writist. Zine book by mtk-on-the-mic. That's me. And here we are, knocking them out. This edition will be 100. How have I done in an hour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've done 3 in an hour. Is that right? C'est possible. So if I can do 3 in an hour, that means I can do 6 in 2 hours, 12 in 4 hours, 24 in 8 hours. So 8-hour days for 5 days, and I should be done with this edition of The Writist by mtk-on-the-mic. That's me, declaring that I was the first writist, using a publication to do so, which has arguably rightism on the front. Ooh, rightism, nuts. Because there's no artism, right? Artism is interesting. That's a word, I suppose. Okay, so if I can do 4 in an hour, which I'm about to achieve here, I hope. I mean, I could have picked up the tempo. I am chatting. I am a chatty Cathy, as they say. At the moment, which probably is slowing me down. I'd say I could do 4 in an hour, maybe 5. If I hustle. Then I might be able to get these all done by Tuesday morning. Because I'm going to work all weekend long. It's not like I can't watch the World Series and do other things while I'm doing this. It's pretty simple to do all of that. But when you're broadcasting, you can't, because then the audience has the timestamp from the copyrighted content of the Major League Baseball, which you can't have. So la la la. Another Saturday night and I ain't got nobody. I got some money 'cause I'm just getting free. How I wish I had someone to talk to. I'm in an awful rut. Forgotten time ago. Didn't know my way around. Okay, so yeah, I think I can probably do 4, minimum 4 an hour. That's what we're talking about. Friendy friend. Friendo. Alright, looking good. Should we check the time? No. We're gonna finish this one and then check the time. In the hopes that we can do 4 in an hour. Alright, folks. This has been mtk-on-the-mic, producing an edition in front of your eyes of The Writist, small zine produced and written and authored by a human being who identifies himself not as a writer, nor as an artist. So, fathered himself into being using his own terminology. That's a little small. My template was not great. Oh well. So if I have to be anything, I'll be a writist. That's the way to say it. If I have to be anything, I'll be a writist. Because if I can't be a writer, since being just a writer is no longer a thing, then I'll be a writist. You dig? Who draws Mayan glyphs as a method of his writology. Writerism. Rightism. Because it'd be writist. It conducts rightism. So this is rightism what I'm doing at the moment. I mean, there may not ever be any other rightism. This might be the only human being can make. But for the moment, it is legitimately rightism. WRITISM. Because I am the only rightist. It's more like Ali or Eminem, you know, swinging your dick in the window pane of life. Art. Self-portraits are like that. People do self-portraits, you know. This is most definitely a self-portrait for I am. The Writist.